Welcome back to the Get Off The Treadmill podcast for small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we show you how to build a successful business and to have a life too. We're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time and to get off the treadmill so we can experience a life of significance. And now, your host and the author of the #1 best-selling business book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, Chuck Blakeman.
Hi, I'm Chuck Blakeman, and welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how to stop managing altogether. Just quit it, stop it, don't ever do it again, at least for people, and lead instead. How to stop managing and lead instead. In the last two podcasts, we talked a lot about management versus leadership, and in the last podcast, we made it real clear, I think. Here's the difference between managing and leading, and why management is something we should just stop doing to people. It doesn't help. It's not productive. Everything about it reduces productivity, makes people want to quit. But leadership is so much different and so much better. And we can have one leader for every 30 to 50 people instead of one manager for every 7 people. We can eliminate the management tax. And again, listen to the other podcast. If you're a manager, don't live in terror on this. You'll actually want to be in a different place doing something else within the company. Very seldom does anybody ever either quit or get moved along because we want to turn people from managers into leaders. It's a whole different thing, and you'll have a lot more fun leading than you will managing. All right, so I want to talk today specifically in this shorter podcast about how to lead. And I'll just give you a few things to focus on and how to lead. So the first 4 principles are really more tactical, practical principles. We talked about them before, but I just want to clarify. How do I lead? Number 1, learn to ask and do your best to stop telling. Anytime you think of something you'd like to say to someone as a tell, hey, put this note on that bowl, or hey, you're doing this wrong, or here's a new spreadsheet I want you to use, turn it into a question that invites them to problem solve with you or without you, depending on their ability to do these things, to actually do this and respond with you and interact with you on this. Training is about asking. Telling is that codependent thing we talked about that managers do. So learn to ask, not to tell. Number 2, list the few decisions you need to make. And you can get there by first listing all the decisions you make. Keep a running total for a day, a week. Do this for a month, it might really get onerous. But just make a list of all the decisions you're making. It might only be an hour. And then take some time to separate the ones you're making from the ones you really could delegate if you train some other people to do it. And almost invariably, just about every time someone does this, they will still keep way more decisions than they should delegate because they're pretty sure that people can't do what they do. They have a bad case of the nobodies. Nobody's as good, nobody's as strategic, nobody's as invested, nobody's as knowledgeable, nobody's as experienced, etc. Take an hour to take some time to separate the ones that you're doing from the ones you should be doing. And then ask other people, is this what I should be doing? And you might get a better example from that. And then prioritize the top 3 and that you can delegate and come up with a plan, just the first 1 or 2 even, just 1. Maybe list the top 3 and then prioritize what is the one that you plan to delegate or stop doing, but give it to somebody else. And then repeat this process of going through the list and picking one thing at a time that you feel like you can delegate next. Repeat it until you are making as few decisions as possible. Remember, the art of leadership is to know how few decisions the leader needs to make. You should find that most of the decisions you keep for yourselves as strategic leaders really do fall into the category of guard the values, champion the people, and pilot the results. And even then, you will know that you're being successful in building a great company because you rarely have to make any of the decisions because everyone else has embraced and owned the company values, vision, and mission. Okay, the third thing, focus on 3 responsibilities. We talked about them. Guard the values, champion the people, and pilot the results. This is strategic work. And never do strategic work where you do tactical work. For any strategic leader, they really should have, even if it's inside the company, somewhere else they go to do strategic work, whether it's a room where other leaders, there's small desks and 7 people do their strategic work there, or a boardroom, or the rooftop or a coffee shop down the street. We should all have a strategic place where we do work, and it should be different than our tactical place. Never do it in the same location as your tactical work. It won't get done. The phone will ring, the emails will or start banging off, the people will start coming in. Have a strategic place away from any distractions, an idea pond, a path, walk a path, a home office, a library, a coffee shop. Find somewhere that you will faithfully know this is my place to do strategic work, and your neurology understands that and says, okay, I'm here to do something bigger, broader, more strategic than answering email or training other people. And then make a standing appointment to meet yourself in that place on a regular basis. Block schedule being a strategic leader. Because if you don't, it won't happen. The urgent stuff will come find you, the important stuff never will. And this is important. Treat it as your most important meeting with your most important client. Make that standing appointment for yourself and don't violate it. And don't let anyone else violate it as well. Review your values, people, results, championing, piloting, all that good stuff, and develop 1 or 2 actions each week related to those things. And then walk those back out into the company. And then finally, share these things with others. Share dates for completion. Get a support buddy. Hey, here's the stuff I saw when I reviewed our values, our mission, or championed our people, piloting. Here's 2 things I came up with this week that I think need help. And here's what I plan to do about them. What do you think? And I'd like to have these done by Thursday at noon. Can you just support me in that and check in with me at Thursday at noon? That'll help me. Okay, and then the 4th thing, implement a 1 or 2 question survey that goes out every week or every month to everyone. And here's a great example of that 1 or 2 question survey. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well did we as a company, each other, how well did we trust each other this week? On a scale of 1 to 10, how well did we trust each other this week? And then the second question might be, on a scale of 1 to 10, how consistent were we at keeping our commitments to each other? Remember what I said earlier. The hallmark, the greatest asset of any leader is trust. And the greatest practice of any leader is consistency. Say what I'm going to do and do what I've said. Be very brave enough to ask. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well did we trust each other? On a scale of 1 to 10 this week, or this month, or this quarter, if you have to wait that long, I would encourage you not to. How consistent were we at keeping those commitments to each other? And then another piece of this 1 or 2 survey might be to just ask others what question we should all be asking that week. Maybe you have a 3rd question that comes up that's tactical. Hey, the new software, or vote for whatever new software you want, or what do you think is the next thing we need to do as a company? Have a 3rd question. Use these things to set up the high bar and then just keep raising it for yourself and for your company. All right, I want to give you in closing here just some 5 practices, simple practices that I've learned for myself over the years. I had to teach myself all this stuff because I didn't know there actually are other people out there who are seeing the world this way without managers. I didn't know who they were, I didn't know how to find them. I learned this stuff all myself, and over the years, I've commingled it with their stuff. So we've got some best practices here. When you're learning to be a leader, all of these, when practiced consistently, will help you develop trust, which is your greatest asset. So here's your practices, your consistent practices to develop consistent trust. Practice number 1, as I've said before, ask, don't tell. Do your best to slow things down enough to ask, which slows things down, but it will speed things up in the long run, because eventually, if not very quickly, people won't be asking, and now you're free and they're free to move things along even faster. Remember, managers tell, leaders ask. Great leaders ask questions on an ongoing basis that gets us moving in the right direction, not to guide us to their answer, but to help us all find the best solution together. So no decision-making happens in a vacuum. It is done together, collaboratively in community. There's no more positive impact than adopting this one behavior of ask, don't tell. It rehumanizes your workplace and gives everyone their brain back. Practice number 2, train, then get out of the way. If you can't get out of the way, you didn't train. The mental muscles for making decisions in the workplace must be redeveloped. People don't want to make decisions. We talked about this before. When you first start doing this and you require them to make decisions, it's going to be pushing water uphill with a rake. Got to do it. And my experience is anecdotally about 1 out of 5 will jump at this. It's about time you let me use my brain. And they will be significantly helpful in helping you bring along the other 80% who don't want to use their brains but actually can, and are reluctant because they've been trained that managers make decisions and we are just plebes who just do what we're told to do. Training is the process of walking someone through a thought process so they can make their own decisions. So what do you think should be the next step? Here's how I would do the next step. Why don't you do that? See what you get. Telling should only happen in the context of training. I will tell you how to approach this unfamiliar process once, or however many times I have to. I'll show you, which is a form of telling, so that you can learn how to do it yourself and I can get out of the way after you do it. So even when we're training, sometimes we might border on telling, but it's simply giving someone things that you can't ask someone who's never been down the hill in skiing. So what's your questions? You kind of have to tell them a little bit before they go down. So training does involve some forms of telling that is more, let me show you how to do this. And then we immediately start asking them, what part of this do you understand? What part don't you? Can I see you do this part? All right, so practice number 2, train and get out of the way. Practice number 3, invest your time on the 3 responsibilities of a leader. Guard the values, champion the people, and pilot the results. Those are the strategic leaders' responsibilities. Tactical leaders and everybody in the company have those as well. But that is the main focus of the strategic leader. Relentlessly guard the values, champion the people, and pilot the results. When you focus on these 3 things, others can pilot the processes, the production, the marketing, and other core business operations. Practice number 4 out of 5, be consistent. Say what you're going to do, then do what you said. It is the only way to build trust. Do not invite people to give you input if you don't want their input. And every other thing we say as people at work, if I say this is what I expect to happen, then this is what I expect to happen. You will learn how to make decisions. Then you have to be consistent in motivating them to make decisions. All right, the last of the practices for developing trust is to trust in adult behavior. Believe others, and I stole this from, I think it was Semco, an industrial organization or company in South America. Early on, that was one of their 2 main values in their business, trust in adult behavior. Believe others are smart, motivated, and want to participate in building a great company, not for you, but with you. Distribute the decision making, being aware that making decisions is part of the learning process. The rewards of working together on these things can yield a corporate core of rich wisdom, experience, and satisfaction. Early in the transition, you may feel like you're pushing water uphill with a rake. But remember that people have decades of experience living as codependents in the factory system model. And in some cases, you may need to relearn how to make decisions. So in closing, remember, making decisions is a failure of leadership. And when I'm making decisions, I am not leading. Let's train other people to do it. Let's develop these 5 practices. And let's watch our companies and our organizations flourish so that we can focus on the things we really should be doing, guarding the values, championing the people, and piloting the results. I'll see you in the next podcast.
That wraps up another episode of the Get Off the Treadmill podcast. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button to ensure you are receiving the latest tools you need to grow your business and to get off the treadmill. If you want more information on the 3 to 5 Club, the Crankset Group, or to book Chuck as a business advisor, speaker, or workshop leader, you can contact us at grow@cranksetgroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.